guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel, Mastering the Wedding Photography Biz.
I'm Hunter.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we are going to talk about what it is really like to be a full-time wedding and portrait photographer.
Now, in this brief video, we are going to give you some of the big picture pros and cons of being your own boss in an industry like wedding photography, and hopefully just give you an idea of whether or not the wedding photographer lifestyle might be for you.
So first and foremost, we feel like we need to mention what's probably the first thing that a lot of people think of when they think of the lifestyle that a wedding photographer has, and that is the freedom and the flexibility that a job like ours gives.
And a lot of the time, it really is as awesome as it sounds. I regularly sleep until 9 or 10 a.m. most days, and that's just because that's what works best with my natural rhythms, whereas Hunter is a morning person and likes to be in the office early, but then he might take off at 10:30 and go to the gym when there's not a lot of people there.
And if we had, a really long weekend with a big wedding day, or we just had a rough couple days in the office and just felt like we needed to take a day off of work one week, we can do that anytime. We don't have to, check with anyone other than our own to-do list and make sure that we're not, neglecting our business by taking a day or two off. And honestly, if we manage our time well, the freedom and the flexibility that a career like ours offers is really hard to find anywhere else and can give you way more time to invest in your own personal life or your hobbies or just spending time with your family or with your friends.
But at the same time, that freedom and flexibility can be as big of a curse as it is a blessing. Because your schedule is entirely your own, both your weekly schedule as well as your annual schedule, you have to be okay with managing your own time.
So if you aren't 100% positive that you're going to be able to handle that level of freedom, then being a full-time photographer or really just being your own boss in general might not be for you. Because really there are two ways that you could do time management poorly. When you're self-employed, honestly, it is really easy to become basically a workaholic because the home office never closes and there's no boss telling you hey, you're done for the day. You can get into the habit of working too much and end up becoming a workaholic who ignores your friends and your family because at the end of the day, the growth and success in your business fundamentally is on you and no one else. And sometimes that can put pressure on people that they don't know really how to handle.
But it's also just as easy for an undisciplined person to find this excuse or that excuse for why they just can't really make it into the office today and end up not spending enough time working in order to reach the goals that they've set.
And that's why some of the most successful solopreneurs are also often some of the most disciplined solopreneurs. And as counterintuitive as it might sound, it's actually that really, really good discipline in the day in and the day out that actually creates the freedom and the flexibility so that you can, take time off whenever you need to or live within your natural rhythms.
The next reality of running a photography business is that you truly are a small business owner. And on the one hand, this means you get paid, often hundreds of dollars an hour, to create beautiful imagery of people just in the most amazing stages of their life.
Sometimes Sarah and I will still look at each other on wedding days and, obviously not in the middle of shooting portraits or something, but in a quiet moment, we might look at each other and say something like, I can't believe that we get paid to do this, much less, $1,000 an hour or whatever it is. Because honestly, being around people on their wedding day or when they just had a baby or just as they're getting ready to graduate and enter that new stage of life is already just so awesome and so fun. And it breeds such awesome energy. But then getting to capture those moments and freeze them in time forever in ways that people are going to cherish for the rest of their lives. I mean, seriously, it's the best. We just can't really get enough of it.
But just like how freedom and flexibility had their drawbacks, being a small business owner isn't just about getting paid to travel around and capture people in the best days of their lives. There are challenges with this aspect of the wedding photographer lifestyle too.
And the main one is something that most photographers don't really expect until they, really get a year or so into running their business, which is they realize that close to 70% of what you do as the owner of a wedding photography business isn't shooting or editing.
Yeah, and we're not just taking a guess here. Once a year, we actually run our Google Calendar through a system we designed that tells us how many hours per month we spend on certain tasks like answering emails, accounting, updating our website and portfolio, or just networking with other wedding vendors.
All the tons and tons of things you do that don't have anything to do with taking pretty photos or editing them on your computer. And when we run this program every year, consistently what we find is that shooting and post-production, so culling, editing, everything we do in Lightroom, all of that adds up to right around 30% of the hours that we spend working on our business. And everything else we do makes up that remaining 70% of our hours. So yes, we get to make our money by serving awesome people on the best day of their lives, But in order to get to do that, in order to have the privilege of serving those people and making lots of money doing it, we have to do all of the other small business things that keeps our business running and keeps our calendar full of those high-paying jobs.
Now, the next reality of the wedding photographer lifestyle is also being your own boss. Now, that can honestly be incredible. There's no boss telling you what to do, how to do it, setting unrealistic expectations for like you or your performance. There's no boss calling you at like 10 a.m. on a Sunday to ask you to come in on your day off, or just like creating a toxic work environment.
And when you find success in your business, you get to fully appreciate that success as your own success. You weren't just like a small part of this big team that did something good, but you were the driving force behind creating a successful and thriving small business literally out of nothing, and you get to appreciate that yourself. And it's honestly one of the coolest feelings ever.
But at the same time, being your own boss can be a struggle for almost those exact same reasons. When you're uncertain of what the next step should be or what the right move to make next, and not having anyone tell you what to do or how to do it can produce a lot of anxiety.
And of course, one of the benefits of having a boss to set expectations is that gives you something to aim for. And so now, if you want to, achieve your goals, you have to be the one to actually figure out what is a good goal, set it for yourself, and then stick to it and actually follow through to achieve it.
Now, you may not have a boss calling you at odd hours or asking you to cover someone's shift, but that doesn't mean that an upset client won't ever call you just whenever is convenient for them.
And just because you don't have a boss creating a toxic work environment doesn't mean you won't accidentally create one for yourself. So just like with all the other areas of being a full-time wedding photographer and business owner, being your own boss requires a good bit of resilience, some independence, and some comfort with taking risks and just managing yourself.
Now, the final area of the wedding photographer lifestyle that has some serious benefits, but also some real challenges, is the seasonal nature of being a wedding photographer.
Now, if you live in Southern California where it's sunny and 75 degrees all year long, then maybe you don't have this problem. But in most places in the world, there is either 1 or 2 seasons each year where the weather is nice and business is going to pick up. And then the rest of the year, when the weather is either way too hot or way too cold for weddings to happen all that much, your business is going to slow down.
If you manage this well, this can be a really awesome way to live. Like every winter, Hunter and I get anywhere from like 4 to 6 full months with little to no shooting. We can take entire weeks off around the holidays, and we just have so much more downtime during the winter months. While we still spend time working on our business during those months.
It's not like we take 6 months off straight and don't do anything in our business.
That'd be crazy. We spend more time with friends and family during the season and just really enjoy that slower pace of life.
And to a lesser degree, we get another slow season in the summer when the heat here in Virginia makes weddings, maybe less common. They still happen. But for the last 3 years, we've gotten to take a full 3 to 4 weeks straight off each summer. And so a couple of years ago, we went to a handful of beaches up and down the East Coast here in the US and actually shot a few smaller weddings along the way as we went, and basically used a couple of smaller gigs near the beach to business expense a month-long beach vacation. Last year, we got to celebrate our 5th wedding anniversary in Italy by spending a couple weeks there. And this year, we got to visit family in upstate New York and New England after spending a week at the beach.
Mm-hmm. And we got to do this without requesting time off or even like having to take a pay cut. But the thing is, we were only able to do this because of how hard we worked during the spring and the fall, and because we squirreled away so much income during those high earning months.
So if you're uncomfortable with the idea of maybe going 2 to 3 months in a row without having basically any social life, we sometimes joke with our friends in early September, like, hey, we'll see you guys in Thanksgiving. If you're uncomfortable with that, or sort of on the other side, if you struggle with the idea of budgeting and setting aside money in those really busy months to get you through the really slow months, then this aspect, this seasonal nature of being a wedding photographer might be a struggle for you. We also just know that some people really benefit sort of on a mental health level from the routine and the structure of having that more typical 9 to 5, all year long work life. And so if the intense seasonal nature of wedding photography is not for you, or you think it might not be for you, then that's a big consideration when thinking about this as a career.
Now, if you've heard all of this information and you aren't scared off yet, then wedding photography might be the career for you.
And so if like all of these drawbacks that we discussed are, you are able to look at them more about challenges for you to overcome as opposed to barriers that are going to hold you back, then at least for us, the lifestyle benefits on the other side of those challenges that surround being your own boss are absolutely worth it.
And if wedding photography is your dream job, but you don't know where to get started or you're like struggling to grow your business, then we'd love to be the people to help you.
So head over to our website, hunterandsarah.com/education, and learn more about our collection of workshops and resources for sale on a huge number of topics, as well as our coaching program where you can actually hire us to coach you personalized, live, 2-on-1 on a Zoom call, just you and the two of us.
Or at the very least, just hit the like and subscribe button so you can keep getting great free content from us every week. And while you're at it, consider subscribing to our For Photographers email newsletter.
When you sign up for that, we're going to send you a free copy of our ebook, 5 Essential Tips for Turning Your Side Hustle into a Full-Time Photography Business, as a gift and a thank you for signing up.
But no matter what, we are going to see you guys next week with more For Photographers content. See ya.